after practicing string comparison with dot equals, we're now going to jump into something a little different, and we're going to jump into inputs today. Okay, so the reason why I'm starting on my desktop is because I wanted to grab a new base code folder called the input base code folder. Okay, I'm going to grab this base code folder, copy it, do the same procedure, but this is going to look a little different because there's an easy reader class, and I don't want you to look inside there. You'll never have to mess with it, or you won't even have to look at it. Okay, so just ignore that for now, and let's jump straight into starter. Okay, just like the rectangle class, EasyReader is also a class, and we're going to be utilizing it the same way. We have to declare, initialize, and call its methods. And just to put that into context, to declare, I would say rectangle, my rect, so this would be my declaration, it equals new rectangle, and I would give it like 10, 10, 10, 10. Right, so I would initialize my variable, right, and so then I would call it by saying myRect.draw. Actually, before draw, I would say myRect.translate if I wanted, and say, let's say I wanted to move it like 10 to the right only, and myRect.draw. Right, so I would have my my declaration, my initialization, and then the calling of my variables. This is how we use the rectangle class. And in the same fashion, I'm going to be using the EasyReader class the same way. I can't leave this here because this isn't the graphics-based code folder, so I'm going to get rid of this, but hopefully you guys can see, actually I can comment this out for now, how it's similar. Right, so I'm going to put EasyReader because this time the object is called the EasyReader object rather than the rectangle object, okay? And I can name it whatever I want. I'll say ER for EasyReader equals new EasyReader. And there's no parameters for this one. I don't need anything in between. I'm just creating an EasyReader object. So this EasyReader object itself doesn't really do anything, just like the myRect doesn't do anything by itself. I need to call methods with it. And the method we're going to learn today is the readWord method, and I would call er.readWord. Okay, so hopefully you guys are getting the gist of it. They're basically the exactly same format and the way we use classes. So I'm gonna get rid of this, and I'm actually just gonna run my program as it is right now. Okay, and you're gonna find something weird is I'm gonna compile. There's no error, but when I run, the console's just gonna sit there, and it's not like it's gonna ever say, press any key to continue, because it's waiting for an input. Okay, what this method is doing is it's creating an option for you to input something into the window. So now you can actually start typing, and it'll input, and I can click enter, and then it'll say press any key to continue because the console is waiting for you to input something. Okay. So let's say I wanted to system.out.print what I just said. So I would say, before that, let's say system.out.println enter a word, right? And then afterward, I would system.out.println. And here I would have to print out the word. But what is the word, right? What do I put in here? Do I put er.readWord? No, I don't do that because this would just be calling the method to output onto the screen. Not technically output, but give you the option to input something. So this wouldn't work. So what do I put in here? Well, something that we haven't learned yet was methods that return a variable. So far, all the methods that we've used are called void methods. And what a void method is it just runs through that block of code without returning anything. And what I mean by that is when I told the rectangle to translate, I told it move XY, and the rectangle moved XY. When I told rectangle draw, then the rectangle outputted and drew onto the screen. However, rectangle.draw, whatever the variable name is, .draw, doesn't return anything. I don't get anything out of it. I tell it to do it and it does it. Well, what read word does is it returns a string, okay? So before it, I have to actually give it something to hold on to the new word. So it would say new word. And what I'm doing here is I'm calling a method that returns a string. So that string has to go somewhere. And the console is not going to error and tell you that, oh, your read word isn't saved anywhere. Okay? So the compiler isn't perfect. But yeah, here it is. And so now that I have new word, I can put new word in here. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention. I remember going over global variables and things like that back then. I never really made it perfectly clear. Hopefully you guys weren't confused. I wrote everything on one line. I declared and initialized on the same line, but it's perfectly okay. I've been mixing it up. That's why I feel like I should get it out there right now. It's perfectly okay to put this on the next line, okay? And just get rid of this portion. And the reason why ER is repeating is because ER is our variable name, okay? And this is the same thing down here. I can say new word like this and get rid of this up here. You're totally allowed to declare and initialize on separate lines. I just wanted to get that out there, hopefully to get rid of some confusion. I like putting everything on one line because it's cleaner, so I'm just gonna Control-Z everything back. Actually, I can just leave it. It does the same thing. Sometimes you're forced to declare earlier and initialize later, like we did with global variables when I was up here and I said, rectangle, my rect, and I was forced to declare my variable somewhere else because I needed my rect to be seen throughout all the methods. But in this case, it doesn't really matter where it's declared or initialized. So you can put everything on one line if you want. So I'm just gonna show you guys what this outputs. So what we should see is enter a word, and there's one niche thing about the easy reader thing that's not really told to you, that is just more of a quality of life thing that I'm going to show you. It says enter a word and I put a colon, so you should expectedly put a word here, but it goes down to the next line. And the reason why it does that, I just put word here. The reason why it's doing that is because I'm saying system.out.print line enter a word. So what happens is it prints out enter a word and then immediately creates a new line. And so when I'm actually calling the er.readWord method, it's being asked on the next line, which looks a little funny. So to help against that, what we can do is just say print, and new word conveniently creates a new line for us. Okay, and what I mean by that is if I go back here, compile and run, and if I just print, it'll ask me to enter a word properly on where it should be. So if I say like my word, and click enter, it's gonna create a new line for me. You see, it doesn't say my word immediately after my word. What the EasyReader.readWord method does is it takes in an input, returns a string, and then creates a new line. So I don't have to actually make the new line myself. Normally, if it didn't do that, I would have to put a system.out.println and just make it empty here. But I don't have to do that because it's kind of doing it for me. Hopefully you guys will get what I'm saying. So yeah, that's basically what this lab is. Not this lab, today's lesson. And I actually wanted to go back to my Pokemon thing because before that would have been a lot better with input. I actually wanted to put it in that video, but I realized that we're learning input way later and we didn't have the Easy Reader class. So I just put yes or no inside my code. But now I can have the code written once and I can have my input in the console and change it to yes or no, whether I want it to yes, heal my Pokemon, or no, don't heal my Pokemon. So yeah, let me do it again. It might look a little different than last time because I don't really remember exactly what I wrote. And I think it's honestly better that I'm doing it differently so you can, compare this video with the last one and see why they're the same and why they're different, okay? Alright, so I need a name, so I'm going to say string, my name, and I'll set that equal to, actually I can't do that right now and you'll see why. So I'm going to declare all my variables here. Good thing I went over that before where you can declare and initialize on separate lines. So I'll say string my name, string, and then nurse's name, and string choice. Okay, so now I want to say system.out.println, Oh, not print. Yeah, print line, not print, not print line, because I want the input, right? So what is your name? And it's gonna ask me what my name is. And because I put print, it's gonna ask me right after I say what is your name. And so here I can put my name dot my name equals er dot read word. And I never made my easy reader. My bad, give me a moment. Easy reader er equals new easy reader. Alright, so now I have my easy reader initialized, so I can start using the er name. And I could have said string my name down here. That's totally okay. And not have this up here. But remember, I can initialize and declare as I wish. So I'm just gonna do it this way because, you know, why not? So it's asking me what is your name, and then I'll say what is the nurse's name? So we can name the nurse as well if we feel like it. So what is the nurse's name? And I can do it again. I could say nurse equals er.readWord. Right, so just for testing purposes, let's say system.out.println, and let's have my name and then the nurse's name, just to see if they've inputted correctly. So I'm gonna save, and what it should say is what is your name, then an input. It's gonna wait for an input. Then it's gonna say what is the nurse's name, and it's gonna wait for an input, and then it should say and it should say my name and the nurse's name afterward. So let's save. Compile and run, and it'll say what is your name. So I'll put in my full name, okay, and you'll see why. So I'll put Tony Yun, and I'll click enter. What is the nurse's name? So I'll say Joy, because you know her name's Nurse Joy, like in the movies or like whatever. I don't know. I've always known her as Nurse Joy, so Nurse Joy. So I'm gonna click enter, and it's gonna say Tony and then Joy. Okay. It's gonna say my name and then the nurse's name, but it's not getting Yun. And the reason why it's not getting Yun is because read word only reads the first word in your. I can write a whole paragraph in there, but it's only gonna get the first word. Further down the line, you guys are gonna learn about all the how to read integers and how to read, you know, everything. But for now, it's just everything is a one-word response, and that's okay too. I can just put my first name. That's fine. So now that we know that, let's keep going. So we can system.out.print like we did last time, and now we can say, oh, before that, let's say nurse. So it looks like she's talking like an actual game. So nurse, then a colon here. Do you need your Pokemon healed? And actually, let's give him an option. So I can say yes or no. Okay. And so now I just don't want my whoever's playing this game or running this program to be confused, because right now the only answers we have are yes and no, so they can input something random and the code's gonna break or it won't work properly. So we'll say yes or no, so it's more obvious what the choices are. Then I can say choice equals er.readWord. Okay. Oh, actually last time I think I had a boolean. I actually don't need a boolean, so you know, I'm going back to that thing where it's better that I'm doing this differently, so you can see how I did it now, how I did it then. I actually didn't need the boolean variable in there. I put it in there, like I kind of forced it, even though it's unnecessary, just to show you guys a demonstration of how booleans are used. But you guys have been using booleans and if statements and stuff and dot equals, so I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with it, so I'm gonna keep going with it. So I'm gonna say if, you guys just did this, right? I can say choice dot equals, and inside if it equals yes, I can say nurse, and then she'll say colon here, thank you, and I need to use my name, so I can say my name here. your Pokemon are fully healed. Okay, and then I can have another if statement below it for no. If choice dot equals and then no. This is case sensitive, by the way. I don't know if you caught that. I had no in lowercase. This is case sensitive, so just make sure when you're inputting and working with strings and stuff, uppercases and lowercases matter. So let's go down here. Say system.out.println. Oops, I put a colon here. I didn't even notice that. I can say up here, and I'll say nurse plus, and then I'll say please come again. Alright, so let's run this. So if I save, I don't know if you guys noticed, this does feel a lot nicer now, because before I had to say string choice, and up here I had to say, you know, yes, and if I wanted a different output, I had to say no. But now I can save the program and I don't have to touch it anymore. I can just run it and then get the two different responses. So if I compile, yay, no errors, and then I run, it asks for my name, so I'll say Tony, just my first name because it only gets one name anyway. And luckily, it skips a line for me, so perfect. What is the nurse's name? So I'll say Joy. And now she's gonna say, Joy, do you need your Pokemon healed? I can say yes or no. So yes. And if I say yes and enter, say thank you, Tony, your Pokemon are fully healed. Perfect. So now let's try it with no. Oh, I'm compiling again. Oops. So I say Tony, Joy. If I say no, we should say please come again. Perfect. So our code works perfectly, and we have our own little dialogue here going on. So yeah, that's about it. This is the whole Pokemon reference again. I don't know if I'll ever use a Pokemon reference again, but I've been rolling with it. If you don't know what Pokemon is, shame on you. So yeah, I just gotta deal with it. So let's take a look at the lab. Okay, this lab says repeat the happy birthday lab, but now you must let the user enter the name of the person having the birthday. So I remember last time in the very beginning, like lab 2 I think, or 3, you said you had to output happy birthday onto the screen, and just within your string you wrote, or I don't know if you made a variable, you wrote the person's name of the birthday. But now whenever we do the lab, we can just ask them, you know, whose birthday is it? Then you can input the birthday name, sing happy birthday with the proper name. So I just did it with, you know, the Pokemon example. You guys can easily do this lab, and yeah, let's get to it. Good luck, guys.